Hello, I'm Nancy Alexander with LadybugWreaths.com and PassionIntoProfits.com. Many of you have been wanting to learn how to make a Deco Mesh spring wreath, so that's what we're going to be doing today. It is really cold here, and we might even be getting some snow soon, and you probably already have some snow if you don't live in the South. But we want to think about spring, so that's what we're doing. I've got a real pretty solid green Deco Mesh I'm going to use. I've got some gorgeous ribbons laid out on my counter that I probably will use all of them. I've got blue hydrangeas that came on a bush. They look just like this on the bush. These came from my favorite secret vendor, and they are very reasonable. I have some green Gerbers, which I love, and some yellow blossoms, pink cherry blossoms, and some white filler. And I've also got the ficus leaves that we always use. I always use them. Okay, to get started, first we're going to put our mesh onto our work form. Now this is not a really big one. This is a 20-inch, and it's shiny green, but by the time we're through, it is not going to show. So I'm going just to drop my roll down on the floor, and I'm going to start on the outside of my wreath. As you see, there are two circles of these wired extensions right here that tie the Deco Mesh onto the wreath. You see, I'm scrunching it up with both hands, and I'm going to leave a little tail on it. That's okay. I'm going to tuck it in right here, and I'm going to twist these together. I just give it a couple of good twists so it's tight. And I'm going to bring it out from the wreath some and scrunch it up some more with both hands. If it goes inside some, you may want to push it a little bit from inside to make it come out. I want it to be stick out a little bit further, so I'm going to slide it up a little bit more. And I'm going to the second set of these wired pieces on my work wreath. Now as you're going, you can stretch this out and work with it all along. I'm going to go around the entire outside of my wreath doing the exact same thing. Scrunching it up together with my fingers, kind of poofing it out a little bit, and bringing it into the next set and twisting them twice. See, I'm going to stick my hand up inside and kind of stretch it out some again. Now, one good thing about working with this on our easel is I'm just going to turn it around as I go, so I don't have to reach at a really weird angle. I love all these colors. I am ready for spring. I'm ready for the pinks and the yellows and the blues. And I bet you are too. Now I'm coming into another one of these little wired pieces of my wreath that are holding my mesh in. You'll have to excuse me clearing my throat today. There's something in the air in the spring and the fall and in the winter. Seems like it's always bothering me. This is so easy, and as you can see, I'm not measuring. Some of them They usually turn out to be about the same length. Just, you know, hold them out and look at them and use your own judgment. I'm holding it out about this far, which I would guess is about 15 inches. If you want a smaller wreath, go back to 12 inches, or if you want it larger, go up to 20. And this is so simple. See, I'm already halfway going around the first circle here. I know that you all know how Deco Mesh has really taken off. It is trendy, it is popular, and for Christmas everybody wanted it because a lot of it has this little wired metallic thread in it. And for the Christmas season, it really did show up and sparkled on your door. Matter of fact, I used it on my door this year. There goes our bird clock. We have a bird clock that has a different bird sound for each hour. Never fails. Whenever we're filming, the birds start singing. Now, I've been asking a lot of my customers what kind of wreath they want to learn how to make. And it was funny. A lot of you wanted to make Deco Mesh for spring, and just almost exactly the same number wanted to make a birch wreath for spring too. So people still like those. They like to use both. I probably prefer Deco Mesh at Christmas. But then for the spring and the summer, I'm more of a woodsy type girl, and I like the birdhouses and the mushrooms and the birds. Okay, we're getting close to going all the way around. Then we'll go on to the inside of this. And sometimes you can just twist it around and have it come in at the opposite direction. It doesn't have to be exactly flat in the same direction every time. Well, I lost it there. Sometimes it'll just fall out of your hand. You'll just have to grab it up again. You have probably heard by now, because I've been talking about it, mentioning it in my newsletter, talking about it on Facebook, that we're going to start doing group workshops here in my studio. And that's really exciting. I've had people asking me if I would do that for years. And every time I'd say, no, I can't do that. I don't have time. But y'all have been very, very persistent. And my partner Linda and I have been praying about which direction our business should go in. And we've decided that we are going to add coaching of several different types. Some will be in my studio and some will be online for those of you who can't get to my studio. So maybe by the time you watch this, you'll already know all the details. Okay, now I'm back to where I started. I'm going to join this into the same loop, tie it on with the same fingers that I tied my first section on with before I reach around to the inside. And they're long enough that you can tie more than one thing into them. That's the good part about these work wreaths. Now, I'm going to join it together with my fingers again, and we're going to go toward the inside. This part feels just a little bit awkward, but you really can't mess it up. If it looks like it's not exactly straight as you're doing it, or doesn't look the way you want it to as you're doing it, you'll be adding other ribbons, you'll be adding flowers, and you'll have a mess like I do, all tangled up at my feet and sticking to my clothes. Okay, so I'm going to reach around this way now and gather up some. And I'm going to go up to the right side this time as I go back around. Untwist it a little bit. Anybody can do this. One of our private coaching students has started doing this, started a business, is doing this with her dad. Her mom had gotten really sick, and her dad was really down. He was having a hard time. And she had started making some Deco Mesh wreaths. And as he was watching her one day, asking her how to do it, she taught him how. And he loves it. And actually now, he puts the Deco Mesh on the wreath for her while she's at work because she has another job. And then when she gets home, all she has to do is add all the fun stuff like the extra ribbons and the flowers. And her dad is very happy. We have talked to him and he loves doing this. Except he said he has one problem. And I told him how to fix that problem. He said, it is scratching up the top of our Duncan Fife dining room table. So, that's why you need an easel. And he'll have one soon. All right, this part, I'm just still gathering it up. And if you notice, I'm not being very careful about how I gather it. I'm tucking it in and tying it. I'm almost through with the center part. And notice now I just keep turning my wreath around on the, it catches on the little hook, the adjustable hook that's on my easel. You have to kind of look up underneath there to see where the next set is when you get to this point, because it's kind of hard to see them. Got one more set, and we'll be through with the Deco Mesh part. Now this is probably going to take a little more than half of a roll. But with what's left, you can make a smaller one, Or you can mix that with another color and have two different colors in your wreath. For one of my Christmas Deco Mesh wreaths, I used two colors and we alternated them back and forth. So you can do that very easily. Okay, right here is where it needs to go. Now, that's beautiful. I'm going to turn it back around to what I think is going to be the top. And I'm going to do something a little special right here. I'm going to tie a knot in part of this and let it hang down. So I'm going to cut a little extra off. I'm cutting probably more than I need. And there's two ways you can do this. You can gather it up and tie it with a ribbon right there. Or, let's see, I'm going to twist this around. Or you can tie it in a knot, which is what I'm going to do. I just want a little bit of the Deco Mesh hanging down when I add my ribbon streamers that will be hanging down. Now, there's something else that we do that is totally and completely different. I've never showed you before. Kim, where's our stapler? My friend Kim, come here. One of these days, y'all, I'll get her on camera. I have used this stapler for I've got two of them for probably 20 years. And this is a secret that, well, I've just never really needed to use it when I've been making a video, but I'm going to show you what I do with it. This is sticking out a little bit more than I want it to. So, to correct that, I'm just going to hold it up against a part of one of the loops and staple it. I use this with ribbons. Sometimes if a flower's not staying in the right place, I'll staple the leaf of the flower to a part of the wreath. It works great. It is a Bostitch, B-O-S-T-I-T-C-H, Bostitch. But we always use those, always. All right, now for the ribbon. I love the ribbons. We're going to start with a bow. And on this one, I think I'm going to put my bow right here. You can put it on, I could put it right here on the top left. I don't normally put them right in the middle on a on a Deco Mesh wreath. You can put it on the right. But since we've already got this little tail hanging down, I'm going to put it there. And I'm probably going to make a double ribbon bow. This is some new ribbon that I just purchased from my favorite secret vendor. And you won't believe this. This is sort of a soft burlap ribbon, really thick and wired. It is $5.95 for 25 yards. You cannot beat prices like that anywhere. Now, if you've had any of my videos before, I've showed you how to make a double ribbon bow. I'm going to start with my streamer hanging out the bottom, however long I want it. I want mine to be about this long. I'm going to pinch it together. Now I'm making these loops together on top of each other, everything I do. Take it away from me, and I pinch it together, and then twist it. And then I'm going to bring it toward me, come up underneath what I already did, and pinch it together. Now, as I make these bows, I'm always working away from myself. I start with the top of the bow, and I work away. Now I'm going to twist it. Now, that is a bow tie, which is the first layer of my bow. Now I'm going to make an X. So I come out just a little bit further with the first loop of the X. I'm going to twist it, bring it toward me, and up underneath. Now you'll notice when you're using two ribbons together, it's hard to hold them together. It takes a little more work. I'll bring it up underneath and tuck it underneath there and pinch it. That's the second loop of the X. I'm twisting it. Wow, this green's not wanting to cooperate at all. And take it away from me and up underneath again. And then I'm going to make the fourth loop of my X, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Now, since I'm using two ribbons, these are all the loops I'm going to make. Usually I keep going. I'll make a bow tie, those two loops, then the four loops of the X, and then I'll make another bow tie that comes out a little bit further, and then another X. But this is thick ribbon and it's doubled. So I'm going to just twist that part, bring it down for my second streamer, and we tie all of our bows with pipe cleaners. Some people still use wire. I don't like using wire because I cut my fingers with it, and I can get it pulled. Look, I pull it very tightly and I twist. Now that's one of the secrets of making a good bow, is getting it very, very tight. I'm just going to go ahead and cut off some of this extra ribbon hanging down. And notice I didn't try to make it the exact same length as this because I didn't want it that exact. Now I'm going to separate my loops, and to separate them, I pull one out from the inside, and I pull it and give it a little twist, which makes it stay separated. And I'm going to pull this one and give it a little twist. And notice, since this is a plaid, I'm not going to pull the plaid side out toward it. I'm going to try to alternate a little bit. And then I'm going to turn my bow over and do the other side. Separate the loops and kind of pull them apart a little. Separate this one and pull it apart some. Now I'm giving a good tug, and if I didn't have it tied tightly enough, it probably wouldn't stay. It would slide. Alright, now I'm going to run my fingers through these loops. They're wired, so I'll pull the inside forward and then the back of it away from me, so it kind of gives it a nice loop. And you can tell this is a really nice stiff ribbon. And sometimes I just put my hand inside it like this to make it stick up really good, curl right. All right, I'm ready to put this into the side of my wreath. So I've got to dig a little bit to find where it's gonna, I want my pipe cleaners to go through and grab hold of one of those wire circles. And I did that, and I'm not going to pull it in too tightly because the Deco Mesh is so thick, my bow would get lost if I pulled it in too tight. It would kind of get eaten up by the Deco Mesh, and you don't want to do that. Now, I'm going to separate it. See how I pull these apart? Sometimes I'll pull them around on the other side of one of the Deco Mesh loops. And sometimes even with these, if they don't stay exactly where I want them to stay, I'll use this again. Now I want this green one to come way back up here, and it's not wanting to stay, so I'm going to reach down inside here. Usually I click on it, staple it about twice. Now if I'm working on a wreath where these are going to show, you can cover it up with a little bit of moss or some leaves, but I'm reaching up inside this. And these are just not going to show in a wreath this thick. See, I'm reaching all the way up inside the ribbon. I'm going to run my fingers down both sides of my streamers, make them curl a little bit. If you get a really good one with a good wire, you can make them curl really easily. And I'm just going to cut these at an angle. A ribbon this thick, I'm not going to try to cut it in a V. I don't think it would make a V too well, and I think it would ravel. Okay. Here's the wreath this far. We've got our Deco Mesh in it, and we've added a double ribbon bow and some really pretty colors that are going to look great with the flowers we're going to use. So we'll start on those next.